Good morning, students. Hope you all are fine and you might have completed the question answers of the first three chapters also. Today we'll start with the next poem. The poem name is An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum, written by Stephen Spender. Now, you might have read about the first chapter and the second chapter also, that is Law Spring. In that chapter, we have learned about the slum area. If you remember, Mukesh and Sahib Alam, they have been living in slum. Yes? Yes. That particular story also talked about the children, those who have been deprived, and the conditions of those children, those who have been living in slum area. In the same way, this particular poem, An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum, written by Stephen Spender, depicts the problems of children, those who have been living in a slum area. Clear? So before we start with the poem, I'll tell you a small introduction or a small detail about Stephen Spender, the poet. Now let's learn something about Stephen Spender, the poet. Stephen Spender was born in 1909. He has left his university, Oxford College. He was not able to complete his degree, but he was a person who has declared himself as socialist and pacifist. Now you might be wondering, what is that particular word, socialist? Socialist means a person who does the work for the upliftment of the society. And pacifist is a person who loves peace. A person who always loves, you can say, non-violence. Now, some of the famous writings of this particular poet, you can go for it. That is, the edge of B, the creative element, the struggle of modern world, and the most important poem that he has written is this one, An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum. This particular poem depicts about the social injustice and class inequality. Now let's start the first stanza. Now I want you to open your book, page number, we have 92. Now let's see the first stanza. I'm going to read and I'm going to explain. Far, far from gusty waves, these children faces, like rootless weeds, the hair torn round their pallor. Now the first line as the poem opens with, we have been seeing that it says about far, far from gusty waves. Now the first line, it is a repetition. Far, far from. Okay? So the children, those who have been coming to this particular school, they have been coming from very far off places. So far, far from gusty waves, these children's faces like rootless weeds. Now the children, those who are coming to the school, their face is like rootless weeds. Now the figure of speech used here is simile. See here, it's a simile. Why? Because these children's faces are being compared like rootless weeds. Like weeds, unwanted plants. Those unwanted plants are not required in the garden. In the same way, these children, those who have been staying in slum, they are not required by the people or the society. That's why they have been compared as like rootless weeds. Clear? The tall girl with her weight head down, the paper-seeming boy with rat's eye, the stunted unlucky hair of twisted bones reciting a father's gland disease, his lessons from his desk. Now this particular stanza, the first stanza, talks about the four children, the description of the four children, those who have come to school. The first one is the tall girl. Her head is bent down because of the responsibilities that she is being given with. She is a malnutrition child and the responsibilities and the problem what she has been facing, that's why though she is a tall girl but the weight head down. The second we have the paper seeming boy with the rat's eye. The paper seeming boy shows the extreme poverty. He is very thin, he doesn't have any food to eat, and moreover the comparison here is his eyes are being compared with rat's eye. Why? Because rats are always in search of food. In the same way, this boy also searched the food because he is hungry. The third one, the stunted unlucky hair of twisted bones reciting a father's gland disease. Now the poem talks about, the poet says that there is a boy who sits over there in the class. He is being referred as unlucky. See, the words which have been used in the poem, it talks about the dejection, the melancholy, the sadness, the pathos which has been included over here. It talks about. It says that unlucky hire. Generally, you might have heard about people, those who inherit property, they are lucky. But here the child has inherited the father's disease, the twisted bones, the rickets. That's why he's been referred as unlucky. Clear? Now the last one. At the back of a dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young, His eyes live in a dream. And the fourth child, the fourth boy, the one who is sitting over here, he sits at the back of the class and he looks out of the window. He looks at the squirrel out in the tree and his mind is full of imagination and he wants that freedom. He wants to live a life which is full of happiness, carefree look and happiness and excitement. But will this child be able to get these things? That is something which is very, very important. His eyes live in a dream of squirrel in a tree room other than this. Now the figure of speech which is being used here, it's metaphor. Now what's metaphor? Metaphor is also a comparison which is being done without the use of as and like. Yeah, that's right. Now here it's been referred, his eyes live in a dream. His eyes have been given a lot of imagination and a lot of dreams what he has. But those dreams will never be fulfilled because he lives in a slum area where these children are being deprived of all the needs, all the basic facilities that they should be given with. Am I clear? This is the first. Now let's see the second stanza. In the first stanza we have seen about the different children, the children those who have been coming to school. Now this particular stanza, the second stanza tells about the description of the class. Clear? Now let me read the stanza first. On sour cream walls, donations, Shakespeare's head, cloudlets at dawn, civilized dome, riding all cities, bell, flowery, Tyree Valley, open-handed map, awarding the world its world. Now the very important thing is that this particular stanza gives a description about the classroom. A classroom which has never been given with anything. But at that point of time, the class has been given with three important portraits. Now let me tell you the first one. The first portrait is of Shakespeare, the father of English drama. The second portrait is a beautiful scenery. And the third portrait is an open-handed map. Now listen to the first one. On sour cream walls, donations, Shakespeare's head. Now this Shakespeare's head which is being kept on this particular wall, it symbolizes the English literature. The entire world of literature English which symbolizes by the Shakespeare's head. The second portrait which is being kept over here, it's about a beautiful scenery which has Tyree Valley, which has landscape, the mountains, the flowers, the bell, the beautiful city you can say. It's all civilized cities which is being kept over here. And the third portrait is of open-handed map. A map which is made with rough hands without any calculations. These are the three beautiful portraits which are kept over here. But does these three portraits have anything to do with the children of the slum area? Nothing. Why? Because they have never experienced, they have never read any contribution, they have never read any poem or any drama of William Shakespeare. Yes? Now, open-handed map, awarding the world its world, and yet for these children, these windows, not this map, their world. The second portrait I have talked about, it's about a beautiful scenery, where you have big cities, where you have beautiful valley, where you have landscape, mountains, flowers, we have bells, all celebrations and happy moments it shows. But it is a total contradiction of what this portrait symbolizes with these children. These children have never seen any beautiful cities. They have never witnessed the landscape. They have never seen any beautiful mountains. It is all a contradiction. It is all opposite thing. And the most important, the last map, which is an open-handed map, which is the exploration, where you can go and where you can find, you can search everywhere. But for these children, the windows and these doors are their maps, because they have never got an opportunity to move out of these doors and windows. They don't know anything more than this world. So what is the use of keeping all these three portraits in the classroom? It's a waste. Now, where all the future is painted with fog, and the poet also tells about that the paintings, the future is totally a blur, where you cannot see anything. It's totally been blurred, it's been foggy. A narrow street sealed in with a lead sky. See the words which have been used over here. The narrow street. The narrow itself tells you about the things which are small. The things which are totally been in short way you can say. Sealed with the lead sky, sealed, something which has been closed. Lead sky, the color of the sky is black in color, which says it's all pessimistic thoughts have been done. It's all about the pessimistic thoughts. Now the poem says, far, far from rivers, capes and stars of the world. So these children, they have never been to any of the rivers, they have never seen any of the mountains, and that is the reason that they have been far off from the stars of the world. And here stars of the world means education. Seen in the first two stanzas, the poet talks about the description of the four students, those who have come to the school, and the second stanza we have seen the description about the class, the three portraits which have been kept over there. The first was Shakespeare's head, the second was the valley you can say, or the beautiful scenery, and the third was an open-handed map. Now let's see the third stanza. Surely Shakespeare is wicked, the map a bad example, with ships and sun love tempting them to steal, for lives that slyly turn into crammed holes. Now as the third stanza opens, we have been told about that surely Shakespeare is wicked. Now generally wicked is a word which is used in a negative way. See, the meaning of wicked is cruel. Yes, here also Shakespeare is being referred as wicked. Why? Because the portrait which is being kept on this particular wall, it doesn't make any sense for these children, because they have never experienced, they have never read, and they have never seen any contributions given by Shakespeare in the form of literature by these people or by these students. That's why the portrait which is kept here is being referred as wicked. And now the next is the map a bad example. Obviously, because the map which is being kept over here, it is for exploration. It is for something that you can feel that you can move out of this world. It gives a picture, it gives a direction where you want to go. With ship and sun. Ship generally is used for exploration and sun is the ultimate source of energy. But here for these children, the map is a bad example. Why? Because it is of no use for them. Because for them, this classroom, this window and these doors, this is something what the map is giving to them. That's why it is a bad example. For lives that slyly turn into crammed holes, from fog to endless night. A very important word the poet uses here. The life which these students are living, it is like a crammed holes. Crammed holes, something which is very small, and they are being living under that. And moreover, the poet has used the word fog. If you remember the second stanza, the poet has used the word foggy. It was something which is unclear. But here the poet has used the word endless night. Something which was blurred, it has come to an end. Where we can say that this is the end of. Now let's start the fourth stanza. Unless governor, inspector, visitor, this map becomes their window, and these windows that shut upon their lives like catacombs. In the first three stanzas, we have seen about the problems what these children are facing. In the fourth stanza, the beginning of the fourth stanza itself talks about the optimistic thought, where the poet makes a sound, he makes a cry, he makes a request that if you want these children's life to be changed, if you want to have a good positivity for these children, then there should be somebody who should come over here and they should help them. Who are they? It should be the governor, the inspector or the visitor. Then only their life can be changed. There should be a positivity in their life. This map becomes their windows, and these windows that shut upon their lives like catacombs. Now because for these children, these windows and these doors, they are being shut. And unless and until these doors and windows are not open, when they are not being given a chance to go out of this place, they will not be able to achieve anything in their life. There won't be any development. But the poet says that these windows and these doors are being shut like catacombs. Now what a catacombs means? It means underground burial. It means underground burial. So as for the dead people, there is of no use. As for the dead people, they don't want anything to continue their life. In the same way, but these children, those who have been staying in these places, they are alive. But still they are being made to live like underground. They have been made to live in underground burials, because the basic things are not being provided to them. They don't have anything to continue with their life. Break, oh break, open till they break the town. So here the poet says that if you want to live a good life, then you should raise your voice. You should make them feel that you have also the living sense. If you want to continue a good life, then you should make them realize that the benefits and the good things that you are giving to other children, you should provide to we people also. So make your life in such a way that these deaf people should listen to you. Then only you can have a good life. Now these children should be given the opportunity so that they can move out of this place. They should be given an opportunity to run azure on gold sand. They should be given an opportunity to run around under the blue sky, the gold sand. Take them to the beaches. Give them the place to read the books. Give them the education. Run azure on gold sands. Let their tongues run naked into books, the white green leaves open. They should have each and every essence, that they should be given all the opportunities, that they should learn, they should explore the world, they should move out of this particular place so that they can change their life. Then only they can make in a better way. And the most important thing the poet says, history is theirs whose language is the sun. See, sun has been referred as the ultimate source of energy. You need to respect that. And he can only create history, the one who has been blessed with all the knowledge. So education is something which can change their world. It can change the outlook of the person. So if you want that these slum children, those who have been staying here, those who have been living here, if they have to change their life, if they have to change their outlook, then they should be given the opportunity that they should move out of this place and they should be helped by the visitor, the inspector and the governor. Then only they can change their life. Clear? Hope you all understood the poem. Read the poem and you will get the question answers, and along with that the reference to context.